Hello and welcome to the July edition of Community Connect, brought to you by the Marshall Area Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for joining us. This month's guest is Lauren Deutz. Lauren is the EDA Director for the City of Marshall. Thanks for being our guest.
Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about all the good things that happen in June. Of course, the first weekend in June every single year is the Shades of the Past car show. It's always one of the, a lot of people come to Marshall for it. You see a lot of cars from out of town. Thanks for everybody for being there, and thanks for everybody that brought their car to Marshall for that weekend. The Drown Classic Golf Tournament that supports SMSU Athletics was on the 17th and was a huge success. They had 184 players. That's unheard of. So thanks to everybody who came out and supported the tournament that day. That has to be an all-time record with that amount of players. Did you golf in that one?
I didn't. I missed that one.
No. Yeah, I wasn't actually there either. I wasn't one of the 184, and I'm the chair of the Booster Club. Marshall Hoops Golf Tournament was actually the following Monday. That was on the 20th. This is a fairly new tournament. Of course, this supports the Marshall Hoops Club, which is the club for all youth basketball players in the area. It seems like golf tournaments are very well received in this community. We'll talk about a new one here later in the show. Women Day 2022 was held in Taunton this year at the Heritage Event Center. This was on the 22nd, which is hosted by Hope Harbor. A great fundraiser for a very important organization. I might imagine you, being based on where you grew up, are you very familiar with the Heritage Event Center?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. And it sounded like it was a great event for the day. So.
We held a business after hours event at our former location across from Schwann's, which is now occupied by the State Bank of Taunton. Good turnout, and thanks for everybody who came, and thanks for the State Bank of Taunton for hosting the event. So again, this month, Lauren Deutz. Lauren has been with the City of Marshall for a few years now. Let's talk about economic development. My gosh, there is, at the State of the City address back in March, we talked about with the mayor and the city administrator Sharon about the amount of things that were on board for 2022, and it is there's no shortage, that's for sure. So let's talk about some of the things. Let's talk about Block 11. Of course, we were just at this groundbreaking a couple of weeks ago. Let's talk about what to expect on Block 11.
Yeah, that's an exciting one for us. It was identified back in 1996 as a priority area for Marshall. Downtown, it's an important piece of our community. So we made that first acquisition of a property back in 2000. So it's been a long time coming. And this year we were finally able to get a developer on board who will be working on a 3-phase project. The first phase will start here in the next couple weeks, and it's going to be 3 stories of apartments, 1 and 2 bedroom, a little nicer, higher end apartments for downtown, overlooking the river, overlooking downtown, great accessibility to different restaurants and things like that. Phase 2 and 3 then will move into a little bit more of a mixed use. We'll have some commercial space on the first floor and then apartments above. The beauty of that is we'll have some flexibility in those phasings. So for certain businesses who are looking for new spaces downtown, we'll be able to build those spaces out for them and make spaces that make sense for them. And just adding more locations downtown. I know we're always looking for more space downtown. So really looking forward to that project and hoping to have all of it online by 2025. So kind of a year by year rollout of those phases, and it's going to be a nice little addition to downtown.
It is. It essentially kind of extends downtown by a block, and of course, if you look at the, the PhotoWorks building, maybe by a couple blocks. So it's very, very exciting for downtown for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. With all the exciting things that are coming to downtown with Relco and some of these other things, really makes downtown a very special place to be. Speaking of downtown Relco, let's talk about some of the upcoming development projects that we know of. Of course, we had Relco moving downtown. The question that you probably get asked to nauseam, what's going into the Shopko building, and what, of course, now that we have the Quick Trip announcement and some of the other things you want to talk about.
Yeah, the Relco project's going to be a nice one. It's always good when we can keep a major employer in town, and them moving into downtown really shows a commitment to Marshall. They're taking a space that's needed a little bit of love. So Schwann's did a nice job of getting that building prepped for development, and now they're going to finish out that space for what they need it for. So second floor of that building will now be their corporate office for Relco. Third floor will be a beautiful event space. And in talking with Relco, they have a lot of interest already. Events booked out to 2024. So it's really exciting to see that space come alive. First floor is still a little flexible. They're working on, most likely it'll be some office space or maybe some retail, depending on the need of the community. They're kind of vetting a few different options right now and hoping to open all those spaces up this fall. So they'll be moving in downtown and bringing 45 employees downtown, which is awesome to have. And that extra foot traffic will help with other development in the area. So looking forward to that project. Shopko is always the question. Unfortunately, we can't share who's going to be in there at this time, but we have been working really hard with that new interest group. So it was purchased by Woodcrest. They're out of Texas, and we're their first Midwest store. They're also working on a location in Austin, so there's some crossover there of trying to determine what the best tenants will be for our community. So we're getting close. They're working through some final negotiations on contracts, and we'll hopefully see some construction there this probably fall, with the hope that we would have open by 2023. So that's an exciting one. And then of course, Quick Trip. They were able to close on their property here in June, the Speedway location. That's been in the works for a while between my office and then the property owner. There's been a lot of discussions and negotiations, and they were really excited about being in Marshall. They've been looking at Marshall for a long time and just trying to find that right site. So to get them here, it'll be a 9,000 square foot store, have a car wash, be open 24 hours a day, and they're looking at bringing 20 to 25 employees in. So, you know, not just bringing in a new location, but also opening up some job opportunities for people. So all exciting things, and who doesn't love Quick Trips? So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you mentioned 2023. I mean, 2022 is going to be a busy year all throughout the city, Marshall. I mean, you think about some of the, you know, the spas and pools place, or today's spa and fireplaces. You know, they're going through development. A lot of things in 2022. Let's talk about 2023. What can we talk about, you know, at that point?
Yeah, you know, it's been interesting. So 2020, of course, everything kind of slowed down. We definitely hit that pandemic wall, but it also gave us a lot of time to do some planning. And the thing about economic development is we're looking 3 to 5 years out. We're not necessarily looking, you know, the next month or anything like that. So we actually just wrapped up our 2021 annual report, and that kind of highlights. We use that report to kind of highlight the areas that we feel need more growth and opportunities. So some of the big things we'll look at as we move into 2023, 2024, housing. We completed a housing study, and we're still really short. We're starting to see a boost in some of those. Last year we had 17 new homes built, which is the most we've had in a while, but it's still short. We see it in our real estate market. It's always tight. There's never enough houses on the market. So really pushing to try and get some more houses online. And how we can support that. The other big piece is our industrial park. You know, our current industrial park and areas of town are pretty much full. You know, we have very few vacant buildings right now, which is rare. And we're always having new businesses looking for space, and our current businesses looking for more space. So that'll be another need that we really need to address moving into 23 and 24. Especially Commerce Industrial Park, you know, to have shovel-ready land that somebody can come in and plop their building down and save a ton of money and time on all those utilities that are already put in. So those are the things that we're hoping to work on. And then we know that that'll drive the growth of retail and entertainment and some of those pieces that we know are missing. Chicken or the egg, you know, what do you focus on? But we really feel like if we can work on workforce and getting our housing under control, that we have a better chance of getting those other pieces in place as well.
So we talked about, you talked about some of the businesses that are coming in, a little bit about recruiting. What's all entailed in trying to recruit business? You know, for example, you know, probably the question you get the most, and I've heard it probably not nearly as many of you times as you have, is Target. You know, Target, you need to have like a certain threshold amount of people. People will say, well, Alexandria got one, but of course they have the tourism industry. So talk to me, tell our watchers out today what all goes into recruiting businesses?
Yeah, so it's an interesting process, and until I got into economic development, it's not something I really truly understood. And it's come up a lot lately, not just the Shopko building, but also Market Street Mall, both very large properties that are, at this point, basically vacant. So I spend a lot of my day doing research, sending proposals out to all different types of businesses. The challenge is that a lot of those businesses, Targets for example, they have requirements that Marshall may not meet. Things like population, transportation, not having interstate access, pull factor. Our pull factor is high. And our community is very unique because we don't necessarily always meet population thresholds, but we pull in a really wide range of people for different things like work, healthcare, education. So finding ways to tell that story to businesses so they'll come to Marshall even if we don't meet those minimum requirements. So we saw that with Hobby Lobby. We actually may not be anymore, but we were their smallest market, and we've done well. They've been very happy with being here. So using kind of those types of stories to show that we can support bigger businesses. So rest assured, I do send proposals to Target frequently. Kohl's, some of the ones that we hear a lot, but as sometimes it gets frustrating because I know that it's not as simple as people hope, but we do like to hear what people want to see in Marshall. It gives us good ideas of different businesses to reach out to, and if people have connections to businesses, send them our way, because that's the only way we'll actually be able to get a good contact and get those conversations going. So,
Sure. I think about a year ago, I was brought in to be interviewed for a component of the comprehensive plan. So you have had a ton of involvement with the 20-year comprehensive plan. How did we get this started, and what does it all involve? Yeah,
so the comprehensive plan, it's really interesting. Most people will never see it. It's one of those things that you say it's probably just going to sit on a shelf somewhere, but in reality, it's what does a majority of our planning, especially for things like land use, zoning, future growth areas. So our current plan was done in the 90s. It's a little outdated. It doesn't really reflect our community. So we hired SRF Consulting last fall, I believe it was, to start this process. And then they kind of strip down Marshall and look at the areas of where are we doing well, where are we struggling, where do we have opportunities for growth. We've been doing a lot of community engagement, trying to get feedback from people so we can kind of set those goal areas and know how we want the city to grow and expand in what areas and how to address those challenges. We're bringing a lot of components that weren't in the past ones, things like partnerships with SMSU, with different local organizations and groups. So some of those conversations are being had as well. The reason I'm pulled into it is because economic development's a big component of it. Kind of like we talked about before, is how do you prioritize development? Where do you spend your money? How do you incentivize things? So that's how this has all kind of come together on my side of things. And we're hoping to actually have that plan rolled out here by fall, maybe winter. But there'll be opportunities for community engagement still moving forward. So watch for those things. Make sure that you're providing some feedback so you can be part of the future.
Absolutely. Well, good. A lot of good stuff here today. Obviously, Lauren is downtown here in Marshall. She and I work closely together on a lot of things, so we can always just kind of reach out. Anything else you'd like to share today?
Yeah, the one thing I was going to mention is I think that there's a lot, especially with like the Quick Trip and some of the other things happening lately. A big piece of economic development, and as well as I do, is there's a lot of confidentiality behind what we do. So if you're a business and you're looking to just kind of start exploring things, we're here to keep those things quiet and to kind of help behind the scenes until things are ready to go public. And on the reverse side of things, from the public's perspective, we're not hiding things. We're just having to do these things to make sure that the processes fall in place and that we're truly ready to make those announcements when they come. So Shopko, for example, when things are ready, we're going to make announcements. So stay tuned. We'll get there. Yeah.
Be patient. It's going to be a really good year.
Yes.
By the time the end of this year comes, we'll have a lot of exciting things that will have been announced by then. So. Well, good. Let's talk about some of the things that you can expect here in July with community involvement. Of course, the 4th is behind us. This is being taped on Tuesday, July 5th. So last night, of course, the City Marshal put on an amazing fireworks display. For those that were out there, I'm sure you weren't disappointed. For those that live near there that don't like fireworks or probably have dogs, you probably were disappointed. But this will be it was a really good display, and thanks for everybody that came down. Farmers Market this past weekend kicked off. This is one of my favorite things. It's crazy to think that it is the first weekend. This first Saturday goes all the way to October 29th. It's a long time for our vendors to be out there, and thanks for everybody that's committed. Lauren, this is something that you enjoy going to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice option to have in town.
Yeah.
Something to do on the weekends.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely. For those that stick around town, Farmers Market again, October 29th, every single Saturday until then. And thank you to all the farmers and vendors that go out there. The Pride and Tiger Golf Tournament is next Monday. This is something that I'm excited to golf in next Monday. Goes to support public and private schools. Lauren, you sit on that board.
I do. It's one of our fun events that we get to plan. It's a fun day. There's a lot of different activities. You see people from all over the community, different teams coming in to support. Last year, I think we had our highest attendance as well. Mm-hmm. People were looking for things to do, and so hopefully fill out that tournament again this year.
Mm-hmm. Crazy Days is scheduled for July 21st. This is traditionally on the third Thursday of every month, every July. So one of the best shopping days all year long throughout the whole city. You know, obviously there's a big focus on downtown, but there are other businesses are involved with Crazy Days. So take a look at that. I can tell you one of my first stops every single Crazy Days is going to Borges, because it's getting ready for the kids to go back to school.
Exactly.
So be sure to keep an eye on advertising for this most fun day. Speaking of golf tournaments, Knights of Columbus are kicking off their very first inaugural tournament on the 27th. So if you're interested in playing in this, reach out to John Drown, 828-3718. Again, Knights of Columbus golf tournament on the 27th of July. The day before that, a couple chamber meetings of note. The State of Agriculture event is on the 26th. Again, I'm going to be out at the fairgrounds. The panelists this year features Brian Knockmus with Ralco. It'll be his first time on the panel. Senator Gary Dames, Carolyn Olson with Olson Organics, and Mike Borbroom with Borbroom Ag Resources. This normally brings in about over 100 people. So if you're interested in coming, registration is on our website, or give us a call at 532-4484 and we can get you registered. This is going to be facilitated by Ken Fransky. He is with Central Crop Consulting. It's a pretty good event. This is the 5th year we've done it. In fact, we've been doing it now at the fairgrounds ever since 2020. It's kind of a good fit. Of course, this is the week before Farm Fest in Redwood Falls. Farm Fest? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's a nice event too, because you kind of get to see how agriculture touches all different aspects of our community. You know, the things the people and groups you think aren't affected, they're all very involved, and it's a good presentation.
It is, and there's something different of every single year that our panelists touch on. Of course, a year ago it was super dry out, so that was the theme last year with our panelists. So. All these events can be found on our chamber website at marshallmn.org. Some of the area events, regional events, and visit marshallmn.com is another resource for a lot of these events. So yet another busy month of July. Of course, August is going to be off the charts. So be sure you tune in next month. We'll be talking about Sons of Summer, our 150th, and of course the fair. A lot of things going on in August. So thanks again for being our guest.
Of course.
We'll see you again in August.